Hey, thanks for stopping by. I'm Austin. This is Julie. This is our home Milo that we've been living in for 2 years. So come in and check it out.
So we're here in the kitchen area of the van, which is probably where we spend the most time outside of being outside of the van. That's why it's extended. It's a little bit wider than most kitchen spaces are. So right here we have our 3-burner stove and oven that runs off propane. I use it a lot for cooking and then also a lot for baking as well. I love to bake in the van. Can't do cakes very well with this oven, so mainly muffins, cookies. Great for heating up pizza. This is our kitchen sink. It's very deep, can hold a lot of dishes, which we're thankful for because we don't always get to them at the end of the night. Soap dispenser, faucet, can retract, and then filtered water. So our filtration system is a 3 filtration system and it's behind the refrigerator. So the isotherm has been great. We will get another isotherm, just one with a bigger freezer is the only thing because I like ice. But it's great. I mean, we have enough space for, I think at the end of one of our road trips, we had half of it was beer and half was food, and we had like a 12-pack in there. And then next we have some deep drawers, one for some toiletries. We have cleaning products under here, and then pots and pans and pantry under here as well. Our fruit basket, which kind of can become a catch-all sometimes, but very thankful for that. And then we have our overhead storage that locks in place, and then some rubber bands that help keep everything in place so things aren't flying out. Tons of storage for all the things we have for the kitchen. So countertop, we wanted something a little bit different. Everyone does a lot of wood or some other type of kitchen. I really like having different textures in the van and different colors, and so it was really great to be able to find some way to incorporate concrete. So this is a piece of plywood that we put down, and then I did 6 layers of skim coating of concrete, filing and sanding away each one so it's really smooth, and then I sealed it with a concrete sealant. It's really nice because you can put anything hot on it, anything cold. If you put your cold beer and it's sweating, it doesn't leave, you can see there's no ring mark. We have a few cracks and scrapes, some things that need to be replaced, but I've been in it for 2 years, so it's held up really well. We haven't had any issues with it. We would do it over and over and over again. We have a lot of people comment on it because it is so smooth. The only thing that we would probably change is the way that we did the drawers. Just do them differently. They're just too big and this one keeps breaking. That is literally the only thing in the van that keeps on breaking is that drawer. So I think we would just do the drawers different.
So what got us into van life and why we chose to live this lifestyle? I wanted it for rent control for a very normal, blatant reason. The job I was making wasn't gonna go along with the cost of living, and so I had to find, a simpler way to live and be comfortable in a home, but also not be totally just busted at the end of every month where you get done with rent and bills, and you're like, cool, I've got $200 to like live my life with. I was like, no, I need to do more than that. So that was my initial. And then when we met, I didn't know if she was going to go along with it, but she came around to it, and she does project management, so she can work remotely, and she loves traveling. Cheap rent.
The ability to be able to travel was next. And then now long term, we see the financials of what we want to do, and if we live simply for several years, we'll be able to actually do the things in the future that we want to, whereas it probably would take us a lot longer if we didn't do this.
Yeah.
And it does lots of freedom. Like there's some uncomfortable things about van life, like a lot of people talk about, but the freedom and ability that it gives you to do so many other things is the best trade-off for us. I have family in the South, he has family up in the Pacific Northwest, and we have friends all over, so we wouldn't have been able to come here to Atlanta and work for 6 months otherwise. So this has been such a great trade-off to be able to visit places, travel, see friends and family, great community, meet a lot of new van life people or tiny home people, so I think there's a lot of trade-offs for the discomforts that you have.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever met an angry van life person.
No, we haven't, actually. So this is our wet bath. So shower, toilet, and since we got Echo, her litter box and accessories. So we did epoxy walls instead of doing some type of sheet or whatever that they normally put down. Really impressed with the waterproofing. We also did the concrete on the floor as well, so it's also waterproof. And we have the Nibia Moen, I think is what it's called, the shower head, so it can move up and down. And it's the mister shower that a lot of people have that saves a lot of water. I think it uses like a third less water potentially. But we did it wide so we could turn and still have a lot of space since our countertop comes out pretty far. And then we have our Nature's Head composting toilet, which we've been really impressed with. Probably would not change that out in the next build. We'd probably do that the same. Dealing with black tanks is not our thing. So, but yeah, pretty simple, but works really well for us. We used to shower a lot in it before we got Echo, but now that we're in a city a little bit more, we have Echo. We don't use the shower as much, but we still have the ability. We do have hot water, both for the kitchen and for the shower. So we have a propane instant, I forget the brand, but it's an instant hot water heater in the back. So if we ever need hot water for the kitchen sink or for the shower, we can just pop that on and take a hot shower. So we also have the Max Air fan. Again, something that we would purchase again. I think we probably needed 2 instead of having an AC unit, just to have better air circulation. We just have the one up here at front, specifically for the shower and for anything coming from the kitchen. I think now that we're getting into the heat, we're wishing that we had one in the back or an AC unit, but we're making do with fans in the back and having this air just pull through. But it's a great, we can drive with it on or have it on in the rain. I've had people be like, oh, your vent's open. I tell them it's fine because it can handle the rain. Max Air fan, definitely would buy that again. Same with the Nature's Head, would buy that again. We have our shoe station thing right here. Extra space behind the oven that we wanted to utilize, and we probably have like 8 pairs of shoes in here. It's really nice so we can just like come in and throw them in and not worry about it. Right here we have 2 pumps. One is for our gray tank, and it's electric ball valve that we can just press on and off to release the water, and then for our water pump that's in the back connected to our 40-gallon water tank. We can just pop that on whenever we need it. I think we would replace the water pump. We just got one off of Amazon. I think we would look for something a little bit more quiet because you can definitely hear it anytime you turn it on, which is nice. So it's not on all the time because you can knock it, but still a little bit of annoyance. And then this is just our overhead lights. Pretty straightforward, 12 volt. Dimmable, super nice, so we enjoy that. And then another outlet over here. We put it over here so we could, if we were doing things outside, we had access pretty easily. So we did add in a curtain rod over here to separate the cab from the rest of the van. The heat, this is a thick curtain, it's a blackout curtain, so it definitely keeps out not only for privacy, light, but also for heat. You can definitely stick your hand through in the middle of the day and feel the difference, so we're very thankful for that. Overhead storage, we have some records up there, some extra blankets, apron, a bug net, books. Our Wii Boost is up here in the corner. We wanted some extra like storage, so not only do we have like our hat rack and some extra jackets over here, we wanted some more access for our jackets. So these hooks are just from Amazon that just hook onto the headrest. So we just have easy access to jackets right there as well. When we were in Astoria and it was raining all the time, it was really nice to have the wet bath because we could just throw all of our wet clothes in the wet bath and didn't have to worry about it. And we do have another really cool thing because Echo likes to climb. So we just got a piece of wood and put some material on it. So we have a little blanket up here that she can climb up there, and she loves to sleep up there. Right now it's a little too hot for her to take naps, but she loves to be up there, and just part of her Zoom routine whenever she's waking up or going to bed, she can run up there and hang out up there and then run back down. So something similar, just a piece of plywood and some grippy material. Okay, so how we handle living in a small space. So first off, just be with your best friend, whoever that is, whatever that looks like. I think if you're not doing it solo, find a person that you don't mind always being around and that you would rather be around than not. So I think we found that there's times that we're not together. Like if he goes off to work or if I go to see family or do something and we're apart, we always want to be back together. Like we would prefer to be together rather than not. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just finding that person that you can at least start at that point, because then the rest of the hard stuff, the fights that happen because you can't go anywhere, the tiffs, all the different things, if you at least have that, you can come back to that, because I'd rather be with him, and I know he would rather be with me than anyone else or anywhere else. We would rather be in the van together. I think that's like the core of it all, because fights happen. Lots of like, let's take a break and go on a walk, or have some time to think about stuff. That happens. And so it's just easier to want to come back when you really like the person that you're coming back to.
60 square feet is good marital counseling. Let's
Very
just
good marital
put it
counseling.
simply.
It's the best.
Yeah. You solve problems real easy. Because if you want to tell somebody to leave, that's your home. And you're kind of like, cool, now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So obviously, wife wanted big kitchen to cook in, but we wanted like space. That's the big reason why we chose the ProMaster. We're not super tall people, and it's the widest van you can get on the market. So with that, we have good walking area that leads to our bench, so we can have extra people or we can sit and do work. A lot of my work is obviously inside the brewery, but when I consult, I sit in here on my computer like a techie person. But inside our bench is storage. So right now, since we have a broken drawer, we have a lot of our dry goods in here, but this is also where we house our propane that splits off to feed the stove. And then the other one splits off and feeds our instant hot water heater. And then we also have other random storage in here for like extra pots and pans or tools that we use. We have our piping, our PEX piping that runs to our shower, also runs through here, so it's accessible if there's a leak, or it has ball valves, so if we want to turn the shower on and off, we can. Pretty straightforward. I think a lot of people try to utilize as much space as possible, and we didn't want to have cabinets overhead, you know. We just wanted more of that open feel. Before, this was just totally bare. I was just looking at ways that we could like utilize this space to kind of make it feel more homely, because it was just a white wall with nothing, which is fine, but it just didn't quite feel as homely as we wanted it to. So at first, my aunt gave us some air plants, which we thought were great, and then we killed those. I don't know how, but I think the moisture from the Oregon coast was like just too much. But so after that, this artist, he's based out of, I think he's in Texas or Utah, but I just liked some of his prints, and they're not super expensive. His name is Sam Larson. So I just ordered a couple of his prints to hang here for just some like inspiration, and also stuff that we miss. We hike a lot, and so when we were traveling, especially during COVID, nothing was really open and we couldn't go outside as much as we wanted to, so it was just something to like keep us somewhat positive and happy. And then this is a photo of when we got engaged down in Oregon. We got engaged March 13th of 2020, and then the following week the world stopped. COVID happened, and I got furloughed from my brewery job at that point because nobody knew what was going on. So it's like, we like it, but it's also funny where it's like, oh, these young people, like they had no clue what was going to happen. And we had got the van January of 2020, and we're like making some but slow progress on it. And then all of a sudden it was just like, boom, we had all this time, and we're just like, all right, well, we might as well get this done. So then at least we have a home that wherever work is, we can just take it and do what we want. And then we had more, but on this wall we have corkboard stuff where we have like Polaroid photos of like friends, places we've been. We've since had to remove that because our cat thinks it's a tear toy. So she's been tearing a bunch of it down. But I also have a basket here for all of my random tools I use at the brewery. Also just random knickknacks. And when you work in a brewery, you collect a lot of Sharpie pens. So there's probably like 12 Sharpie pens in there that you just forget to put back in the brewery. You're just like, oh, I'll just bring it back another time. And this is our bed. Obviously, again, we're not tall people, so we can sleep sideways, which is super nice. It saves a lot of space. And so we've got the bed and the fan, and then underneath that, and this goes for both sides, we have storage underneath the bed. So there's like split storage for other extra clothes, like winter clothes, my work pants, some of her dresses. So this goes, there's one on this side, and then there's one also on the back side that opens up, which is super nice. Again, just utilizing as much space as you can in like a small sort of confined area. But yeah, it's kind of nice to not have everything. I already lived kind of small before I got into a van, so all of my clothes already fit in here, except for like my work pants. For her, she needed a little bit more, so I was like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, it tends to work out. Like we have a good give and take, you know. I'm like, oh, shirt's torn up and dirty, I'll just throw it away. So we have two 100 amp hour batteries, Battleborn lithium ion. They're expensive but worth it because they have all the built-in sort of smart interfaces to detect like when it's too hot, when it's pulling too much, to make sure that we don't fry our battery or mess up any of our electrical system. For our solar panel, we just have one 300 watt solar panel. And since we've been on the road, we traveled for 4.5 months, and then we've been here for about 5.5, 6 months. We haven't plugged in once. And we've been, again, all over the East Coast and going through all over central United States, and the sun just kicks butt.
How do we make money on the road? Well, we didn't for about 4 months, but that was intentional because we wanted to travel. I'm a project manager. So I've done a couple of different gigs with project management, worked for a couple of companies, done some consulting, so I can work remotely for all of those positions. And then
yeah, so again, worked in breweries for a long time, and we both just started with her background and skills and my background and skills, brewery consulting. So be able to go into a brewery and just deal with a lot of like quality control, production issues, or just get them to growth thresholds. So it runs a wide array of like what I can offer them. So that will be something that will be more prominent, I think, in the future.
Yeah.
I have a couple of things I have going. When we get back to Oregon, I'll be able to consult to get my feet wet, and then it'll just go on from there.
Yeah, because I currently have a full-time gig as well, doing project management. So continuing to do that and like assisting with his consulting. He could do it on his own, but with my background, being able to help do some change management, process management, and then just project management in general, giving that structure to the consulting, I think, is what has been super helpful for a lot of breweries and can continue to be helpful for breweries that we go to.
Yeah.
Our personal Instagram is at Milo and AJ. Our brewery consulting is at Through the Sight Glass.
And Through is spelled THRU.
And then our website is throughthesightglass.com, and that's THRU, thesightglass.com as well. So all the things that we talked about, our Instagram, our brewery consulting, can be found in the description below. All right, thank you for coming to view our van. Thank you for Tiny Home Tours for having us, and
yes, thank you.
To see you around.